Hey everyone, welcome to This Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled you're joining us today because, well, we're unpacking what has to be one of the most fascinating, straight out of a movie stories in all of American history. I really want you to picture this right now. It's a dark, stormy night back in 1962 on Alcatraz Island. The wind is just howling. The rain is coming down in sheets, and inside the cold, concrete walls of literally the world's most notorious prison, something everyone thought was absolutely impossible is about to happen. Under the cover of all that stormy darkness, 3 hardened prisoners simply vanished. They disappeared from America's most secure, supposedly impenetrable fortress. I mean, they didn't just break out of their cells. They vanished without leaving a single trace. When morning finally broke and the guards did their regular rounds, they were met with this shocking revelation. And as you can probably guess, it immediately triggered a massive nationwide panic. And right away, that brings us to the ultimate enduring question, doesn't it? Did they actually survive? It is just the perfect unsolved mystery. Even now, decades later, investigators, historians, and true crime buffs are still completely hooked on this case. Because look, if they didn't drown in those freezing waters, then they pulled off what is easily the greatest disappearing act of the entire 20th century.
Section 1. America's most secure prison.
Okay, so you have to understand, Alcatraz wasn't just your run-of-the-mill prison. It was known as an inescapable fortress. It was literally the place that criminals feared the most. Authorities were just absolutely confident that no one could ever break out. And why were they so sure? Well, because even if you somehow miraculously managed to get past the iron bars, the thick concrete walls, and those incredibly strict guards, you were immediately met with the treacherous, freezing, and honestly deadly currents of the San Francisco Bay. It was specifically designed to be a psychological and physical dead end. But of course, 3 men decided they were going to challenge that absolute certainty. Let's meet our masterminds. We've got Frank Morris and 2 brothers, John and Clarence Anglin. Now, these were guys with extensive criminal backgrounds, sure, but more importantly, they possessed this desperate, intense driving motivation to get their freedom back at literally any cost. They had absolutely nothing to lose. And you know what? That made them incredibly dangerous, remarkably patient, and highly inventive. Section 2. A dangerous master plan. The sheer methodical brilliance of how they executed this is just, it's staggering. They didn't just smash a window and run for it. No way. Step 1, they secretly spent months widening the tiny ventilation shafts right inside their cells. Step 2, they actually crafted their own makeshift tools out of stolen everyday items, chiseling away silently through the solid concrete. And then, step 3, which is probably the most famous part of the whole operation, creating dummy heads. And get this, they did all of this right under the guards' noses, month after month, without ever tipping them off once. The absolute most crucial point here is how they bought themselves enough time on the actual night of the escape. They built lifelike dummy heads to fool the guards during bed checks. They used a crazy mixture of soap, toilet paper, and, if you can believe it, actual human hair that they swept up from the prison barbershop. They created these chilling, super realistic replicas of their own heads. The extreme tension here is just palpable. I mean, they had to sleep with these things in their cells for weeks and just pray that the guards, walking those dimly lit corridors late at night, wouldn't look a little too closely. Section 3. The night of the escape. So let's break down how this went down. This timeline unfolds exactly like a high-stakes Hollywood thriller, literally minute by minute. Right at 9:30 p.m., the lights go out and those dummy heads are carefully placed in the beds. By 10 p.m., the men are squeezing through the vents they've spent all those months digging out, and they slip into the pitch-black utility corridor. At 11:30 p.m., they've successfully navigated a maze of pipes and finally reached the roof of the cell house. And then right around midnight, they slip down to the water's edge and board their makeshift raft. They go right into the freezing darkness and completely uncertain waters. Just try to imagine the terrifying physical elements they were facing at this exact moment. They're sitting on a flimsy, makeshift raft that they basically glued together from stolen prison raincoats. They can hear the scraping of concrete against the rubber. They can feel those freezing, deadly currents of the bay actively pulling them out toward the ocean. Once they pushed off that island, there was absolutely no turning back. Section 4. The massive FBI manhunt. Now, an immediate and massive divide emerged after this, one that, frankly, still exists today. And we really have to look at this impartially here. On one side, the arguments against their survival are incredibly strong, right? You've got the freezing water temperatures, the deadly rip currents, and honestly the sheer physical impossibility of swimming that kind of distance. But then, on the flip side, the arguments for survival are pretty compelling too. You've got their wildly inventive makeshift raft, and this whole trail of very strange, unexplainable clues that strongly suggested they might just have pulled the whole thing off.
So let's just rapidly fire through some of the bizarre evidence they found. We are talking about unverified photographs of men who strongly resemble the brothers surfacing years later down in South America. There were mysterious letters sent to authorities straight up claiming they survived. Witness reports, possible sightings that literally span decades. And the crazy part is, every single time a new clue is introduced, it didn't solve the case. It just deepened the confusion and added a whole new layer to the legend.
Section 5. The final unsolved mystery. Because at the end of the day, the mystery remains completely unsolved. We have confirmed facts about exactly how they escaped the building itself, but we have exactly 0 confirmed facts about what happened after they hit that water. And really, this is exactly why this case continues to completely fascinate people. It's got to be one of the greatest open loops in American history. It just taps into our deep-seated curiosity about human ingenuity, you know? And of course, the irresistible allure of the ultimate escape. So, I'm going to leave you with this final thought. Will we ever actually know the truth? Did Frank Morris and the Anglin brothers conquer the inescapable fortress and just live out their days happily in hiding? Or did the San Francisco Bay claim them out there in the dark? The evidence is completely frozen in time, and honestly, the answer might just be lost to history forever. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep asking questions, and I'll catch you on the next one.